It's not human in an AI world. And what is amazing about this is like really thinking about how we can come across with our brand and our voice and who we are, and AI is not going to replace that. And so the theme that I kept hearing over and over throughout this conference was the importance of knowing who you are, what you stand for, and then being able to share that with the world. So let's get us started. So, who am I? For those of you that are new to me, my name is Angelina Shively. I am an educator, coach, and mentor. I have spent the last 25 years in education, and I decided I was ready for a change. Some of my time there was spent as a technology coach, and I realized that that was really a passion that I had. And so, that is where I landed on my next adventure. And so I have a an amazing group of people. I'll tell you more about that. We are on school and just supporting each other and having this great group together has been so powerful. Um, so I did a little something, and I know a lot of you already know about this, but I took some notes while I was at Social Media Marketing World. And these are all of the different people that I was able to listen to. Michael Stelzner, if you don't listen to he has an AI podcast, and it's absolutely amazing. Every week he talks about new tips and tricks. Um, we have, I focused my energy on going to kind of two tracks, one of which is developing my YouTube channel. And so I'll be sharing all of those things throughout, as well as learning about AI agents, because that's something that I've been, hearing a lot about and learning about and implementing in my own practices. And I just kind of wanted to see how other people, were implementing that. So the link to that is going to be right here, and I'll share that also. All the things that I shared today, I'll have encapsulated with a nice little representation after the session. But these notes, and I checked in with the group, because sometimes if you're not there, it might feel difficult to understand what I am sharing from a presentation that I didn't even do. But the power is that you can click view notes. So, like, for example, I was able to meet the amazing Jonathan Mast, and here are my notes that I took with him. And then any resources that they shared, I was able to share those as well. So there are a ton of different tools, and he talked a lot about repurposing content and how you're able to do that with like one piece of content, and then you take it and multiply it by various different ways. And so like there's a 7-day implementation plan of how you might do that. So lots of different tips and tricks. And then I have my key takeaways. And so, one of the things he talked about is having like a flywheel so that our content really establishes us as the expert in our field. And so each of those are there in the show notes if you want to kind of dive a little bit deeper. It'll also provide you, if you want to ask questions about something and you're like, oh, I'm curious about that. Those are topics that we can also explore. So those notes are there. Now let me go to the next slide. And so this was one of the things that I really took away, was that the idea that there is so much content out there. And I don't know about you, but when I start scrolling on Facebook, you get sucked in because there is so much that's out there. And so how do we as humans really stand out? And this statistic was very interesting. And it was like 68% of people share content on social media to express who they are and what they care about, not to learn, not to buy, but to feel seen. So people are not looking for the best, perfect, optimized content. They actually are looking for something that makes them feel understood. And so that was a big takeaway for me to think about how am I coming across in my content and making it so that I feel welcoming and really targeting the people that need my services and want my services. So, and I love this graphic. P.S. My notebook LM created all of this. What I did is I took all of my notes and then said, these are the two topics that I really want to focus on in my presentation today. It gave me the outline, which was like 10 pages. And I said, okay, now make a presentation according to that. So I love the graphics because it really does symbolize like, we're in a they use this idea of a connection crisis, not a content crisis. So there's so much more content that any human being can even possibly think of consuming. And so while AI helps us to produce the content faster, without your actual voice, you're not solving the problem. You're only adding to the noise that people are already drowning in. And so, that was something that, again, it goes back to we have to figure out who we are as humans and what makes us unique and what makes us special. And so that's something that I've really been reflecting a lot upon that, actually all my years in education prepared me for what I'm doing now because I have all that background. And so, how do we bring that into our social media and our expertise? That's something that I really want to encourage you to think about. That, just jot down a few of the things that really, like, what makes you stand out and what makes you different from all the other people that are out there doing something similar, to what you're doing. And then this graphic, they really talked about this idea that so there's the concept of being like the authority person and the person who is establishing themselves as the authority figure out there. So they might hear you, but they don't necessarily trust you. And then on the total other side is this idea of vulnerability. So, like the person who is just totally vulnerable and you are posting all about everything that I tried this and it didn't work, that doesn't actually create trust. So it's a combination of being the authority figure and being vulnerable, and when you put that together, that's going to make people trust you and then they're going to want to buy. So that was another good just kind of little reminder that was shared. And then this is really thinking about all of the pieces that come together when you're creating your brand DNA. And this is important because down the road, I'm going to show you how you can take all of these little pieces and then put them into your LLM so that it is coming across as you with your voice. So 70% of consumers buy from brands that reflect their values. 84% need to share values with a brand before using it. So people are not buying content, they're actually buying belonging. And then this came from Molly's presentation, Molly Mahoney. So your weirdness is your superpower. Your weird is your superpower. And so she talks about the idea of the quesadilla of awesome and like what makes you special is actually how people are going to connect with you. And so, like for me, I think, many people often say that I explain things in a way it's not, too simple, but it's like just right learning because it gives clients what they need in the moment. And so, thinking about your voice, your perspective, your stories. This was another one that I loved. Just taking a minute to like even just jot down or voice record your stories and like what makes you authentic, and then bringing those stories in again, to your LLM so that you can share that with people. Um, And so the goal is not to automate everything and take the human out of it. It's actually to make the AI more human. And so I like this idea of like a little runway and the bird is like taking off, right? Like it's going to help us to really amplify our voice and make it so that we can um, be more present with our clients. So as many of you know, inside of our school community, that there's like four pillars and four steps that we kind of talk about. And so the first one is expressing yourself. And you can't go to this grow area if you haven't established these pillars. And so, expressing yourself, figuring out who you are, then creating, then building, and then growing. And so each of those kind of has a foundation. And so when we talk about expressing, like clarifying your brand voice and positioning, and if you skip this, everything else is going to be generic because it doesn't know who you are. And this right here, I know I've said it, I sound like a broken record, but this Google Doc that I have is like the Bible of my business. It has all of my offers, it has my company details, it has my information, what brand colors I like, what typography. And then I'm able to take this and use that as a system that I put into Claude. And so that is where, the goal is. I just begin. Okay. So if you are interested in creating with Claude and building out content that sounds like you so that it's not just AI writing for you, it's really you and the stories are yours. I have a couple of resources for you. There's a Claude 101 course in our school community. And I just want to show everyone where that is. In case you are not a member, you should definitely join, but also know that there's so much in there that sometimes even our members forget. So in the classroom, right here, Claude 101, this will walk you through really just understanding why Claude is different. Okay. So it has a little bit of information about what Claude is, how to use Claude as a thinking partner. So that's a shift. Like we're not just talking back and forth, asking, questions that are being able to be Googled. Okay, we're actually using Claude to help us to really conceptualize what we're talking about. It talks about Claude memory. What is a project in Claude? Being able to put things together in certain projects. What are Claude skills? What are Claude artifacts? So this gives you just like the basics about Claude and how you can use it. And then when you're ready, there's a couple of other courses. This one is also free and it's called Grow with Claude Artifacts. And in here there are several lessons on how you can actually use Claude to create different tools for your clients. And then these other two, you can either purchase them separately, they're $17, or you can become part of our ecosystem, in our school paid community. And those are there as well. So this will walk you through really getting your business set up on Claude and the important steps that you need to take to do so. I have a ton of free things that are included in here. So it's going to interview you, ask you questions, get you clear on who you are, what you stand for, and then the different skills that you can set up in Claude so that it can run effectively. This is all important because it's leading up to the next level, which I'm hoping to take all of you there. And so I just kind of wanted to highlight and share those things. Then we have, let's see here. The next level is like building the back end. And so this is where you get to that point where you're making systems. And I think this is where a lot of us are like right in that stage where we know what we do, but we don't actually have like the systems built in. So will you type systems in the chat if that's something that you're working on? If you're live with us on Facebook, type in the word systems if you feel like that's something that you want to work on. And so, like, this is just one system. And I know that's a lot of details and it's kind of hard to see, but this is just one system that I've been using and putting together, which is called my content creation flywheel. And this is where I'm setting up weekly to have, on Monday, there's an engagement question. Tuesday, there's a statement so clients feel seen. I have mine is actually on Thursday, my video outlines, all the pieces, and it comes together by using this system. And I think a lot of you are doing that currently. But here's where the magic comes in. And that is where we introduce the idea of agents. And that's where we're going to be able to really grow our systems. And so, if you haven't played with Claude at all, then I'm going to encourage you to get into the community and start going through some of those courses to get the foundations set up, because the next level, and I know that many of you have been waiting for it and you are ready, the next level is to grow your business by deploying agents and taking on more volume without creating chaos. And so if you are interested in learning about agents, if you will type the word agents in, because I think that you are going to love what I'm going to show you. So here we go. And these, of course, are my darling little agents that I have hired. They have to have a name and they have to have a character for me. Now, your agents do not have to do that. So don't worry if you are not quite ready for that. So this is the big shift that I am seeing. I know you all are seeing it as well, and we say the old way, and we're talking like 2 years ago, old way, right? It's that you are telling them what to do. So hey, chat, I need to create content. Do this, do that. And now we're looking at the new way, which is that we are going to assign a team of employees that are going to do our work. And the magic is that the systems are going to run while you are doing something else. You don't have to babysit it. It just does it. So you set the vision, it executes, you approve, and you're good to go. Now, before I go to the next slide about hiring your agents, I want everyone to realize that one of the important things is you have to know your work. So if you don't know what you're doing on a daily basis, like what are your systems, you're not ready for this step yet. And I say that with like the most love in the world. And so I've been encouraging everyone to really start thinking and jotting down what are the things that you do in your business on a daily process, on a weekly process. Every month I do these reports, whatever it is, be jotting that down so we can hit the ground running when we are ready to hire our team. So it's just like in the real world, you wouldn't go hire for a position if you don't know what you need that position to be doing. So if you're interested, I have a tool that I've created that will help you to just log your information. So I'm going to make a note. I'm going to add that to send to everyone if you need that. And if anyone is here and wants to share if they have been tracking this, feel free to write in the comments, like, what have you observed? What are you learning about your own business? Are anything's coming up for you that you're like, ooh, I actually learned that I don't have any systems or I need to do XYZ. So feel free to add that in the chat. Okay, so the most important thing is that when we're going to build out agents, it has to start with you. Okay. And so I did the same thing that I asked of you guys. I sat down and I was like, okay, I know that I create my videos on Thursday. I upload them to YouTube. I, wrote everything down. Okay. So the first assistant that I hired is what I'm going to call my biz bestie, my chief of staff. You could call this whatever you know, uh, your aide, whatever you want to call it. But this is going to be the one agent that is going to be in charge of everyone else. Okay, so this is going to actually run a daily brief that keeps the whole team organized. Now, I'm going to show you today the systems, the different agents that I created, that I hired. But I want you, as I'm talking about this, to be thinking of who would you hire in your business. Okay, so if you have any ideas, share with me. I love that. Marie says, I think I need to ask Claude as it knows me very well. And that's exactly right. Like you can totally have conversations with your AI and ask it, what are the things that you see me repeating? And I'm going to give you all of these prompts and things to do as a part of a course if you're interested in it. So just know that that's coming. If you're live on Facebook, tell us what kind of agent you know you're needing. I'm going to give you some examples here, okay? So first I hired my biz bestie, and my biz bestie is actually a robot. All right. Then I started with content and media. And I went here next because that's something that is obviously very important to our business. So I started with Suzy, and she is my socials director. So she is going to do the full week of social posts, blogs, scripts, and reels every Monday in one session. She's going to give me all the ideas and tell me exactly what I should be posting. She'll give me the output, and all I have to do then is copy and paste that over onto, Facebook or wherever I'm posting my socials. I hired Ellie, which is an email specialist, and she's going to build the weekly email for me. She knows the structure of how I do my emails with, there's an AI tip, my podcast, whatever I include. So that's all there. And then she's also getting hired. She doesn't know this exactly quite yet, but she's going to be doing Substack articles. And so then I can also go back and upload my statistics to her. The beautiful thing is, as we create these employees, we can go back and change our instructions. So, like right now, I'm thinking, I don't even know if I asked her to ask me to give that analysis to her. So I can go back and update her once I create them. Another content piece is Remy the repurposer. So every time I do a podcast or a Thursday training, Remy is going to take that content and then repurpose it into, a blog, an email asset, all the things. And then she's connected to others who are going to pull that, like the email assets, they'll be pulled there. When I was coming home, I created another one, which was Amy, the ad specialist. And I designed her. She's programmed to know, like, what are the best practices for creating Facebook ads right now. And so she's going to build out a complete ad campaign. She writes the copy and then brainstorms visual and video content for me. Okay, the next big category that I have was community and clients. So I hired CeCe, who is going to be my coaching manager. And every time I do a coaching session, all I have to do is prompt the agent to take the transcript of my session, because I record them with Fathom, and then magically I have a template for my email. So it goes and creates an email draft, and then it creates a PDF for the client. And all I have to do is go into my Gmail drafts and push send. And it's absolutely amazing. And what's cool about it is it has at the bottom, book another session, and all the things that I want to remember, but my brain cannot remember all of those. So CeCe's in charge of that now. Stella is my school manager. She owns the Amplified Entrepreneurial Community. She helps me with recap posts, if there's any notifications that come through. And then I have a workflow that I do every Tuesday after we meet. And then the last one is the growth and operations. So Lola is the launch manager. So every time I come up with an idea, which is about weekly, about classes that I'm going to run, she'll take all the assets from the trainings and any offers. She helps me make landing pages. socials, and email sequences that go along with everything. And then the last one is Maya, the money manager. And basically, at the end of the month, all I have to do, I actually have Stripe connected, but I give her my PayPal receipts and my Venmo receipts, and she gives me a clean summary of my money for the month, what came in. I could also add in there, I don't really want to look at what I spend, but I could add that in there if I wanted to. And so that's Maya. So that is my AI dream team. So who wants to see what this looks like in action? Type the word action in the chat if you want to see what it looks like, if you're ready for the fun. All right, so we have here, this is Claude. Everyone has probably seen that. If you haven't, that's okay. Go do some lessons in school and get comfortable. This interface is in the browser, okay? Where I do all of this work with my AI team is actually on the desktop, okay? So we have used, in the things that I've taught so far, we've done projects, we've done where we customize and we have our skills created. We talked the other day about connectors, like connecting. So I have all these things connected, my Google Calendar, my Drive, my Notion, all of those different tools are connected. And then over in the desktop version of Claude, so you'll notice right down here, there's a little icon, and that's different. Okay, so that's going to be the desktop version. And the reason it's different is this is where co-work comes into play. So before, we've really been using chat. Co-work is where we're going to be assigning things to our agents and creating tasks that they actually do on our behalf. So right here, you can see that I have several tasks that I have running. So when I talked about that monthly financial report, that's here. The daily brief, this is the one I'll show you right now because it's like blows my mind every day. Now, the thing about co-work is that your computer does need to be on for it to run. If it's not, you can simply click run now and be able to have it run on a time that's not listed. So I have mine running weekdays at 6 a.m. Sometimes I'm not to my computer and I do turn it off. So I'll just click run now. So like here was today. It always kind of like, Lene, I think you're on here, so hopefully you don't mind. But it will tell me like, hey, this is one thing you need to look at. It saw a conflict in my calendar. And so it was like, hey, you need to, check in on that. And it says, big day, 3 back-to-back appearances, build in a breath before Amplify Live. And Lene, we moved your call, so you just don't ignore that there. And then it gives me like, okay, someone sent you a DM from school. You have 2 free Substack subscribers. I love how it says rolled in last night. No action needed, just good news. Oh, here, Jennifer said, here's a green screen activity. So it's like summarizing my email inbox so that I can really look at what's important. And then it gives me the lessons or the things that the AI team is going to be doing for me. So it knows it's Thursday. So Remy is going to repurpose right after the Amplify Live wraps up. She'll be on standby to process the recording as soon as you upload the Zoom link. CeCe's ready to prep an intake brief. No tasks for today. Everything is handled. Go crush that live. Your community is watching. How nice. And so then I can come in here after my session and I'm just going to upload the transcript and then things will run. So that is really, to me, so super powerful. And then each of those agents that I've hired, they are actually created as a skill. So like here is Biz Bestie. So if I'm in a conversation, I can talk back and forth and say, different things. Um, you know, it's Friday, run the Friday report, check in with me about certain tasks. And like this is what I told it to do. I want a daily check-in. You could even set it up to have daily news brought to you. Like, for example, you want to know what's happening in the ads world. Like if there's something new came out, you could have it set to share information with you about that. Um, and then like here are the individual agents that I created. So like Amy, the ad specialist, you're Amy. You own the entire paid advertising function. Um, Here's your role. It knows that this is the ad things that it needs to focus on. Um, so all of those are different employees that I've created and can call upon and have running for me in the background so that I can be doing other things. And I even set up, I know a lot of people set up another computer and different things like that. I'm just using a different monitor so that I have it there and it's on the side and I can see when I need, to check in or have help. So that is the team that I have hired. I want to share this link in case you're not on school, join us. And then, da, 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 here's the Build Your AI Dream team with Claude. And this is the new workshop that I'm going to be offering. It's going to be in 2 weeks. And this one will walk you through all the steps of how to build these agents, just like I have done. Um, and there's multiple ways to do it. So, and I know a lot of people are teaching this. So obviously, I don't want anyone to feel obligated to take this course, but I will say, I have been learning a lot with Molly Mahoney, and she has some really great systems. So basically, what we'll do is I'll give you the prompts and we will walk through each of those step by step on how to even start by figuring out what agents you want to have on your team and who you want to create. So that was a lot of me talking. I'm going to check in with all of you and see what questions you have.
How long did it take you to build all the agents? And how long did it take you to create all the employees?
Yeah, it was about maybe 2 hours. Like I just sat there and, I think the key was knowing a little bit ahead of time kind of what my tools were that I needed to build. And then it just does it for you. So it's really nice.
Did you like write yourself a job description?
So I honestly know because the prompts that I used were very much like it's going to ask you the questions and Claude will interview you and basically get all of that worked out for you. And then I did obviously look at it and I'm like, oh, wait, what about this? And that's where that whole back and forth, like even now I can recreate them. If let's say I want to add something to it, or I'm like, oh, I don't actually need this to run this way, you could just change it because it's a skill basically.
Okay, cool. I'm sure we can talk more about it on our call
Yeah.
tomorrow. Cool.
Yeah. Lauren, what about you?
So I have been doing a lot of like deep client competitor research with Perplexity. And I noticed in Claude, you can set up all the artifacts and like, what are those, like the skills?
Uh-huh.
I was just wondering because in kind of learning Perplexity's interface, they also have a section for artifacts and like skills. And I think their co-work is titled computer. Uh,
Okay.
have, do you know if like any of this can like bleed over into that or if, 'cause
Yes.
I
I
know
think I
it's
think
all
that it
kind of,
will.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it will bleed over because what we'll be doing is using prompts. And so the prompts will be like you could just, you know, chat in the interface with Perplexity. So it's not going to be like if you don't use Claude, then you can't do this.
Right, because I've been using Perplexity and I started out with Perplexity and Claude and I can kind of did a side by side, see who gave more in-depth research. and I was really amazed with Perplexity, so I went that route. But I do like all the AI automatic agents things. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, and it's all developing so quickly. So like, and that's why it's kind of like, okay, we cannot marry ourselves to just one LLM and say, like, if I were to
Right.
say, oh, I'm a Claude for coaches, well, in 3 weeks, who knows? Maybe, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
per
like ChatGPT's newest image generator.
yes.
That's like really good and all the letters work every single time. So I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Yeah.
And it's just changing so much. So yes, I think that any of the prompts that we're going to use, that would be for everyone, any of the tools. What else? Who else has thoughts or anything that they want to share? Marie.
So what would be helpful for me is like before we sit down and do it, like what do I need to kind of be thinking about?
Mhm.
I think I know most of it because, I've built I haven't built the agents, but I built skills. So it's kind of like
Yes.
knowing that. But I always find like even a checklist, give me the week 0 where what do I have to pull together in order to be able to accomplish whatever's on that checklist of what we're going to do.
Yeah, I love that. So I will do that for sure. And I also want to say, like, for me, the two biggest things, if you're going to be wherever you're going to be working, if it's Claude or Perplexity or wherever, that you have built out in that tool your AI brain. So, and I'll share my screen. I know probably all of us have done this already, but I just want to make sure because I don't want to leave anyone behind. Um, you know, and I actually went through and even since we met the last time, restructured my Claude a little bit differently. So, before I had shared with you, okay, make a project, which I do still have projects like for my different businesses, but I actually thought a little bit differently about it. And I thought, okay, what I'm going to do is actually put the projects are going to be the different things that I work on. So it might be a client folder. It might be like this is going to be my Substack folder. This is going to be my YouTube folder where I have my video strategies. And then I put my business brain actually as skills. Okay, so that's a little bit different, and feel free to go in and take a look at yours and how you ended up setting it up. But under the customize tab, if you go to skills, I actually put so like I have my ideal client is in here. So it's a skill that remembers everything about my ideal client so that it's got all of that information programmed in. It's got my programs and offers, um, my identity and positioning. So those skills are there and it knows to remember, if I say, look at my brand story, to pull that skill. Or when we're creating our co-work pieces, we tell it to do that. Okay, so that would be step one. And then step two, I would say, is really think about the things that you do on a regular basis. And like some were saying, and I'll put this in a checklist, brainstorm with Claude to help you think about what are the places where you see me working and you think that I could hire someone. That will actually be part of the training. Okay, who else has a hand up? Amy?
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Good morning.
I have a question. As your business evolves, you're going to want to continue to add more agents.
Yep,
How complicated is it to add more agents?
not at all.
Okay.
So basically what you'll do is you'll so like for example, this weekend I was on the plane and I'm like, I want to start dabbling in ads. Poor Lauren's like, I'm sick of you saying this because I've been saying it for like a million years now. But So I was like, okay, what if I created an agent that helps me with the ads, right? And so I did that. And then I went back to Biz Bestie, my CEO of it, and I said, hey, I just created this agent. Can you adjust the instructions, your instructions, as well as anyone else who needs to know about the new employee I hired? And then just updated it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And
You're
her name
welcome.
is perfect for your ads.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah. I love it. Anybody else? Okay, well, I will share all of this with you in a message and give you the link if you want to sign up. And I look forward to seeing everybody in school. And if you have any questions, feel free to send them over. Have a great day, everybody.